Olivia here. Looking for that nighttime skincare routine that will have your skin ready for fall? Well, Olay has you covered. First, I use Olay Collagen Peptide 24 Eye Cream. It provides 24-hour hydration and visibly firms that delicate eye area in just 2 weeks. Then I use Olay Retinol 24 Night Moisturizer in the beautiful purple jar. It hydrates better than that $100 retinol cream and gives me smoother, younger-looking skin. Get $10 off 2 moisturizers at retailers nationwide and Olay.com. Check your local newspaper for coupon and more details.
The DOC on Choice.
This is that ice cold Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Styling, wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band about that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe it, just watch. Don't believe me, 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 just watch. Hey, oh. Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some nigga in it. Take a sip, sign the check. Julio, get the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we gon' show out. Smoother than a fresh drop skipping. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Quick, say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band about that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe it, just watch. Don't believe it, just watch. Don't believe it, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch. What we need? Sing a little something. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. I said uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Come on, dance up on it. If you said and flown it. If you freak dead and own it. Don't brag about it, come show me. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you said and flown it. Well, it's Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe it, just watch.
Is
WRSV, Elm City.
turn up.
Choice FM. The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Well, happy Monday. Today, Monday, November 11th. Welcome. This is James Gailliard, and welcome to the James Gailliard Show, live with you every Monday here on Choice 92.1 FM, the People Station. Shouting out to all the folk here at the radio station who allow me to jump on with you. And today, listen, we're going to talk post-election. Okay, you know we're going to do that. But I want to engage you. So we've got and we have a little bit of a delay from the studio to you, particularly those of you that are on Facebook. But I'm pulling up you right now. I'm going to be pulling you up right now. And I'm going to be looking at your comments, and I'm going to be responding to them. And so I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and share this. And then we're going to just talk about some things today, okay? So some of you are already doing that. I'm watching Choice FM's feed, and then we have the feed on James Gailliard's on my Facebook account as well. So let's jump on in. Let me begin with just saying Happy Veterans Day. And so if you are a veteran or if someone you know is a veteran, can we shout them out, celebrate them? I'm grateful. I had a meeting just a few moments ago with a gentleman from our community who shared with me that he was a vet. And so I want to shout you out. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. It is not in vain, and it is because of our servicemen and women in all of the branches of our government, branches of our military, that we enjoy many of the freedoms that we currently enjoy. Freedoms that I would hope and trust will never be lost, so that our democracy is never lost. And so thank you very much for your service, and I pray God's choice and assorted blessings upon you. So I'm talking post-election, and I hope many of you will jump in and share your perspective with me. I'm not the sharpest pencil out there, right? But I generally understand some things, and I have to tell you that the results of the election in North Carolina, I'm yet not able to make sense of it. I just want to own that. I just want to be honest. I'm going to share with you why. As a matter of fact, as God would have it, and I apologize. You see, I started literally marking up some of these exit polls. And as I started marking up these exit polls, I was just like, this makes no sense. And so I want to share some of it and get your perspective, because when we look at the mix of the election results statewide, you will start to see that, and I'm going to keep repeating myself, you're going to start to see that it just literally doesn't make any sense. And so I want to share some of that as I was reading it through, and I'm going to this is your show today. And so they're giving me less commercial breaks, and I'm going to be able just to talk to you. And so I want to talk to all of you. So I'm reading your comments, okay, in live time. And so, hey Natasha, hey Tammy, and so let me just give you a sense of what I mean by the election results not making any sense. And so we understand that Kamala Harris lost North Carolina. But I started going through the statewide races, and then I started breaking them down by county. And this is what I mean that doesn't make any sense. So you have Josh Stein, this is statewide, Jeff Jackson, this is the order by statewide votes, Elaine Marshall, Maurice Green. You have 4 Democrats that won statewide, all of whom got more votes than Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is the 5th highest vote giver statewide in North Carolina, behind 4 Democrats. And then after that, you have Rachel Hunt, who comes in at number 6, and then finally Kamala Harris at number 7. We're not even talking about Mark Robinson. And so I guess the struggle I've got is, in order, like that just, it's not even a down ballot situation. Like, so I'm looking at what my ballot look like. And I really want to hear your thoughts about this, because I am really scratching my head. So that means a person would have to take a ballot, right? And then this is what they would have to do. They voted Republican, Democrat, Republican, going down the ballot. Because Don Davis, for our congressional race in Nash County, he's not on the statewide ballot, but Nash County got more votes than Kamala Harris. Let me just share Nash County, and then I'll make this point with you. So this is just for Nash County. Nash County, the number 1 vote getter was Josh Stein. Number 2 vote getter was Elaine Marshall. Now, they're both Democrats. Number 3 vote getter was Mo Green. The number 4 vote getter, this is Nash County. The number 4 vote getter was Jeff Jackson. All 4 of them got more votes in Nash County than did Donald Trump. Donald Trump then becomes the 5th biggest vote giver. And then you have Rachel Hunt, number 6, Don Davis, number 7, and Kamala Harris is dead last. So she's the 8th one. So it'd be one thing if there was like this Republican sweep, but it wasn't. Throughout our state, Democrats were the highest vote givers in the statewide races. Because even the races we lost, the vote getter tally was not as high as it was for those top 4 or 5. And so literally looking back at the ballot then, somebody voted Republican and then Democrat and then Democrat and then Democrat and then Democrat and then Republican and then Republican and then Republican and then Republican and then Democrat and then Democrat. It just really, it feels real spotty to me. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do want to confess that the data does not make sense to me. And that's the part that's kind of swirling around for me. The data just does not make sense. And so here in North Carolina, let's just talk about, I have a lot of Wake County people listening. So let's talk about Wake County election results. Hopefully I can read my own writing. You have to understand my writing situation. But here in Wake County, or in Wake County, and shout out to all of our listeners in Wake County, again, the number 1 vote getter was Josh Stein. I mean, Josh just, slew the state. The number 2 was Jeff Jackson. The number 3 was Maurice Green. The number 4 was Elaine Marshall. All 4. Now listen to this, Wake County. Then Rachel Hunt is number 5. So you have 5 Democrats that received more votes than Donald Trump did. And then Donald Trump, he comes in, dead last on this one, obviously. And then after that group, Josh, Jeff, Mo Green, Elaine Marshall, Rachel Hunt. Then you have, Allison Riggs, who lost for for state Supreme Court. She's number 6 in Wake County. All of them, I need you to hear this. Donald Trump wasn't even on the radar in Wake County. You had 6 other Democrats running statewide that received more votes than Kamala Harris. So I'm trying to piece it all together, y'all, in order for this to make sense for me. And so it literally, when you look at the data, it just doesn't make sense that it would be so sporadic. And I checked it in Wilson County, I checked it in Nash County, I checked it in Wake County, and I checked it statewide. And it all checks out the same way, that statewide you had at least 4, in some situations 5, and in some situations 6 Democrats who received more votes than Kamala Harris did. It feels strange to me that people would vote. People would vote for Mo Green, but not for Kamala Harris. Think about this. Let's just put this together for just a moment, okay? Because that's exactly the situation we're seeing. And y'all know I'm a big Mo Green fan, so it's crazy to me that Michelle Morrow got 49% of the vote. Like, I don't know what in the world is wrong with some people. But this is the point that I want you to see. What did Mo Green run for? He ran for superintendent of public instruction. He ran against an extremist that was threatening to totally destroy North Carolina schools, right? So people vote for him, and rightfully so. Project 2025, which is fully supported by Donald Trump, which is part of it is the destruction of the Department of Education. That same group of people that voted statewide to defend schools voted federally or nationally to destroy them. Like, that's the piece that doesn't make sense to me. I can see no linkage in the voting pattern, not even by race. Some of it is gender, I believe, but not all of it, because Rachel Hunt still got more votes than Kamala Harris, and it can't be totally race because Mo Green is African American. So it's interesting to me when you start dissecting the numbers. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, same can hold true for, let's use Nash County as an example. And so, number 1 vote getter in Nash County, Josh Stein. Number 2, Elaine Marshall. Number 3, Mo Green. Right? Number 4, Jeff Jackson. Number 5 now is Donald Trump. And then you have Rachel Hunt, number 6, Don Davis, number 7, and then Kamala Harris comes in dead last at number 8. So it was 7 other people that got more votes in Nash County than Kamala Harris did. Here's the thing that's crazy to me. When I look at the vote count for Mo Green, 26,806. Now, I want you to hear this. This is Nash County. Now, we support Mo Green in Nash County, rightfully so, because what is he? He's responsible for public education, right? Donald Trump pledges to destroy the Department of Education. That also has an impact on Nash County. 26,800 people said we don't want our schools to destroy, so they voted for Mo Green. But of that 26,800, only 25,000 of them voted for Kamala. 26,300 of them voted for Donald Trump. So I just want you to hear this. If education was that important to people, then they wouldn't have voted just for Mo Green. They would have also voted for Kamala Harris. If everyone who voted for Kamala Harris in Nash County, if everyone who voted for Mo Green in Nash County had also voted for Kamala, she would have won Nash County. So it's just the data doesn't feel right to me. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am a logical thinker. And as I'm looking at how sporadic the voting pattern is, it does not have rhyme or reason. And the thing about it is like this statewide, y'all. Let me look at some of your comments, because I told you today's show is your show. And I just want to hear what you have to say to me. So please ask questions, make comments. I'm going to read your comments. I'm going to address your questions if I have the ability to do that. They may be a little bit smart and a little too smart for me. The numbers are not adding up. Someone said Beverly Bobbitt. Who else is out there? The numbers do not add up, and they called the winner so quickly. Thank you for sharing this information and leading conversation. Absolutely. Hope you're good, man. It's going to come to the surface. So I'm wondering, what say all of you, those of you that are listening to today's show, what do you say? And as you know, I was all in on this race. I think there are a lot of people that were a little quiet, more quiet than I was comfortable with. Let's talk about what the turnout was. And there's still numbers we're waiting to come in some races. And so we won't be able to do a full postmortem autopsy of the numbers until everything comes in. But let's talk some turnout for a moment. The statewide turnout was 73%. We did the majority of our work in Nash County, and Nash County turned out 74%. So I'm grateful that we picked up a point statewide. So I'm proud of that. But once again, we have really important areas around us. Interestingly enough, we'll talk Wilson County, but Wilson County only had a 71% turnout. So, but Kamala Harris won Wilson, and so did Dante Pittman, and so Chatham County killing it again with 80-some% turnout. I think that's so awesome. I want to talk about Wake though. Wake had a good turnout. Wake and Johnson County both 76%. But now, this is why the emphasis to pull out the black vote in metropolitan areas, in my opinion, why it doesn't work. Let me make a statement here, okay? Because I wanted to say this at the top of the show and I didn't. The last thing I'm going to talk about some potential reasons people are saying why Kamala lost, but I don't. Well, y'all, running for office is hard. It's hard, and what I don't want to do is be one of those hypercritical people that has all the answers after the fact. I just don't think that's helpful, because there were a lot of people that offered solutions, and some situations those solutions did not get, they got rejected. But in some situations, people didn't offer anything. And as I shared with my congregation in the pulpit yesterday, this matters to me because public policy moves our lives forward, either good or bad. And everything that impacts us is impacted by public policy. And so we have to recognize and understand the implications. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why maybe the election didn't go as we thought. But what I want you to see for the theme of today's show is that it went really well for a lot of statewide Democrats. I mean, we lost half the races, but we won half. And the half that we won overwhelmingly. I mean, the numbers were high compared to those same voters voting in the presidential race. So there's a tremendous drop-off. A lot of people that voted. So let me just give you an example statewide. Statewide, Josh Stein got 3 million, just over 3 million votes. Trump only got 2.7. So literally, Josh Stein got 200,000 more votes statewide than Trump did. So it's unusual to see I'm going to vote for the governor, but I'm going to sit out. I'm going to sit out the race for president. You just don't normally see it like that. You will see down ballot trickling off as you get further and further down the ballot. But what I'm explaining to us today, I'm talking top of the ballot stuff. Like literally, I'm talking, you have to look at this ballot, see where it says partisan elections, see where it says president, skip it, and then go vote in the congressional race, and then go vote for the state race, then go for the lieutenant general race. It's just weird. It's just a really strange dynamic that I personally am not smart enough to answer. And I don't want to offer the potential of some type of foul play. I will say this. One of the tenets of fascism, Marxism, one of the principles they operate under is make accusations against something that is not true, so that when it becomes true, it becomes invalidated. So this is my point. You remember how there was all this discussion, and I'm just throwing this out as a theory. Okay? And I'm not even saying it's a theory. I just want to get us thinking and talking, okay? But let's just say we all know 2020 election was not rigged. It was not, it was not stolen. But we keep saying, a group of people keep saying it was stolen, it was stolen, it was stolen. But they know it wasn't stolen. While they're saying it was stolen, it was stolen, it was stolen, they were conspiring a strategy to steal it in 2024. Knowing that you then can't say it was stolen in 2024 because you've been arguing all along that in 2020 it wasn't stolen. Are y'all following me? And so it all feels strange to me. The data, again, this is James Gailliard. For those of you just joining, this is James Gailliard, and you're watching or listening to James Gailliard's show. I'm here every Monday on Soul 92.1 FM and online, and we're just talking post-election results and some of the strange things that's occurred in terms of the way the numbers sifted out. Let me look at some of your comments. Maybe something is wrong with the ballots themselves. Not sure how the actual ballot is read by name or by positioning. The machine that is programmed to read, who programmed them. Okay, and so how do y'all feel about this? Like, I am a believer that however we conduct elections, it needs to be consistent nationally. And I understand the power of states, and I understand that we need to put as much. We need to give states as much power as possible. Like, I'm not against that at all. Like, I'm actually believe that. But I do think that there are things like elections, particularly when there's federal elections. Like, I think that we ought be able to, if a person, I'll take myself as an example. When I left Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, I came to North Carolina. I want to say, I actually don't even remember voting in Nash County because I may have already moved to Wilson County. But I remember voting the first time in Wilson County, and I remember being totally taken back because the way we voted in Wilson was very different than the way we voted in Philadelphia. And then when I got to Nash County, it was even further behind Wilson County. And I do think that there needs to be an element of consistency. No matter where you live in the country, you vote the way you vote. And so the issue that is raised up by John Pickett about the programming of the ballot and, how it's read and all that, is, I think, a point noteworthy. Natasha says it's back to what you've been doing since day one, Pastor G. The data and breakdown for the everyday people must continue to be a consistent conversation and movement. So, yeah, I appreciate that. For those of you just joining, I'm just doing a brief postmortem. I didn't even prepare anything beyond a bunch of numbers. I literally have numbers upon numbers written here, and I'm looking at statewide races, and I'm looking at exit polls, the kind of people who voted. I'm going to say some pretty strong things because I think some strong things need to be said. And so he says, I'm curious about Anson County, where Waysboro is located in South Central and Elizabeth City and Pasquotank County, Northeast Quadrant part. And I didn't pull that data, and I don't know that I can get to it in quick enough, Quincy, but I will take a look at it and see what it looks like. Elections start at the local level. People forget this. Indeed. Hey, Michael, hope you're feeling better, man. So listen, for those of you, I believe there was foul play. Well, Annette, here you are, your mouth to God's ears, right? It feels that way only by, let me just ask this. Let me ask this, and then we're going to go to our first break. So this is what I'm going to ask. Help me understand, somebody who's listening, someone who is watching on Facebook, give me your plausible explanation as to how 4, 5, 6, and sometimes 7 other Democrats could have outperformed Kamala Harris everywhere. Give me your plausible explanation for that. How it's possible for Josh Stein, for Mo Green, Rachel Hunt, Elaine Marshall, and in some situations, your congressional candidate, Don Davis. Give me your plausible explanation on how you feel it's possible for those Democrats to have outperformed Kamala Harris pretty much throughout the state. And so this is James Gailliard, and you are listening to James Gailliard Show. We're doing a postmortem on elections. I'm going to take a deep dive when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Ask your questions, make your comments. I'm going to refer to them, and we'll be right back after we take this break.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Hey, Kevin, who do you have your cars insured with?
Freeway. Why?
Because I got my bill to renew, and my rate more than doubled. I can't afford to keep paying double for my car insurance.
James, you need to call Freeway. They insured our cars and got us some discounts that saved us hundreds of dollars a year. They have rates that can save you up to 30%.
Man, what's their number?
It's 800-579-9723.
Do I have to drive far to get insured?
Not at all. Freeway makes it quick and easy and can insure you right over the phone. Call 800-579-9723. 800-579-9723.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm calling right now. Freeway Insurance has low rates for you for more than 35 years. Freeway has been saving drivers hundreds of dollars per year on their auto insurance. Regardless of your driving record, Freeway has plans to fit in any budget with rates that could save you up to 30%. So call now and see how much you could save. 800-579-9723. That's 800-579-9723. Or visit freeway.com. Freeway. Driving savings. Restrictions apply. Based on a Q3 2023 study of Freeway Insurance customers who reported saving when they switched. License number 1000655-485.
Proud sponsor of Toys for Tots.
AURN News.
The day after Trump's election win, disturbing racist text message flooded phones of African Americans nationwide, telling them to return back to the nearest plantation, and also threats of violence. The messages targeted everyone from college students to everyday working Black adults. The FBI has stepped in, urging recipients to report the text messages while working with the Department of Justice to investigate the origin. Spoof numbers from text messages services like Text Now are suspected. NAACP President Derek Johnson condemned the hate, linking it to divisive rhetoric that has emboldened racist groups. These actions are not normal, he declared, and we refuse to let them be normalized. The NAACP is mobilized, calling for accountability and coordinating with law enforcement to protect Black communities. Johnson emphasized the NAACP's commitment to fighting for safety, freedom, and equality. As investigations continue, authorities are working to ensure this wave of hatred does not escalate. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Well, my people, welcome back. This is James Gailliard. Welcome back to the James Gailliard Show. I'm doing a bit of a post-mortem election result debriefing. Let me comment quickly on some of the things that some of you have said, because I want to push back on a little bit of it. I'm disappointed to see Nash County turn red. So let me just say, and this is part of what I've been trying to, share with people. And so let's go to Nash County for a moment. The number one vote getter in Nash County was Josh Stein. He's a Democrat. That would make Nash County blue. The number two vote getter was a Democrat, Elaine Marshall. The number three vote getter was a Democrat, Mo Green. The number four was a Democrat, Jeff Jackson. Trump came in at number 5, and so I think that is what's so interesting to me. And then, so that's the struggle. See, I think we're assuming that because Kamala Harris lost, that all was lost. And, I think there's a deeper lesson in it for us. Several of you are talking about Edgecombe County. But let's just talk about Edgecombe County. Let me get the number. Let's see, 67. So the statewide turnout was 73%. The Nash County turnout was 74%. Edgecombe County's turnout was only 67%. Halifax County was only 66%. And let me just, listen, I'm not blaming them exclusively because I want to put a little bit of weight on Charlotte. Mecklenburg was only 69%. And I think let me ask y'all this question. What is it that makes Democratic African-American environments less motivated? 67% turnout for Edgecombe County. Is it as you get more rural, it takes more to get to a poll and there's a transportation issue? Is there a lack of understanding? Because this is what I want you to hear. When you start pushing places like Edgecombe County, Halifax County, Pitt County had a 67% turnout. When we're able to push through and get those 60% numbers into the high 70s, or like a Chatham County, the low 80s, that is where races flip. That is where we really start winning some stuff statewide at a higher clip, at a higher level than what we've seen before. Let me explain some dynamic to you about, and y'all, I don't have no audience in Charlotte, so I don't really care if my Charlotte friends get offended by what I'm about to say or not, because it's true. And so let me go back. God, there's so much stuff I want to say. I wish I had like 2 more people here with me. I should have had a conversation with some of y'all in the studio with me, but I'm trying to have it online. So let's keep pushing. But let me say something about Charlotte that I want us to kind of think about and think through. A lot of times there's a lot of stock put in, well, we can just get the major metropolitan areas out. Just real talk. Now, I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm not telling you anything that's not true. Whoever's gonna get offended with me, what the heck? I don't really care, because I'm here to tell people the truth. And so I was really pushing very hard to get the vice president to Rocky Mount. And I was pushing really hard to get the vice president to Kinston. And I was pushing really hard to get the vice president to do an I-95 tour that started in Lumberton, Fayetteville, cut across Goldsboro, came back up to Wilson, then Rocky Mount, then Halifax County. And this is honest to God truth. I have emails to prove it. The same day I wanted the vice president, for those of you who may not know, I led the faith work for the vice president for the campaign. So we're trying to place people in churches, etc. And I wanted her in Kinston on a Sunday to attend an event, but I couldn't get her. We were able to get some surrogates, not her, but how about that same day, Trump showed up in Kinston. Same way trying to get her in Rocky Mount. Greenville is fine, but that wasn't going to be the base. So, and remind me to say something about base. So I do think that while we were spending time in Raleigh, you know, they were going to smaller communities. Like we were going to Philadelphia, he was going to Bucks County. And, you know, while we were going to Greenville, he was going to Kinston and Rocky Mount. And I do think there was some calculus involved, because if you start picking up enough of those isolated rural communities, and I say isolated, I'm talking about isolated from the big media market. So let me give you an example about why we as a state should never put all of our eggs in the Charlotte, Wake County basket, Durham basket, particularly Wake County. You know, first of all, when you look at election year over election year, Wake County did not have any increase in new voters. And although they had 150,000 new people in that area who were eligible to vote, but yet they didn't move their voting numbers at all. Try to get to some of that conversation, if I can, a little bit later. And so let me tell you why Charlotte can't be the play. So Charlotte is Mecklenburg County. Mecklenburg County is a metropolitan area. It's a lot of Democratic voters, a lot of black voters. But their turnout was only 69%. Now, if I had a map, and I can't wait because I've got this really nice studio being built, and I'm expecting it to be ready in 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going to be able to push buttons and show y'all stuff. But if you were to look up at a map of North Carolina, right, and then you were to go to the quadrant where Mecklenburg is, where Charlotte is, that's Mecklenburg County, that's heavily Democrat. This is the piece that people don't talk about. Every county that touches it is Republican. And when you look at the block of that Republican vote of every county that touches it and compare that to the Mecklenburg vote, it basically zeroes it out. So this is my point. So that was my theory. So before I got on air today, I decided to crunch numbers real quick. I didn't have a lot of time because I had other stuff going. So I crunched the numbers. So Mecklenburg is 69% turnout. There are 4 counties, other counties that touch Mecklenburg County. Now, Mecklenburg is 69%. Let's see what their percentage turnout was. Iredell, 74%. Union County, 75%. Gaston County, 73%. Cabarrus County, 74%. So, in as much as we may pick up numbers in Charlotte, we lose numbers everywhere around it, so it's a wash. So when we put a lot of resources and energy thinking, oh, that's the way to get the statewide victory is to pick up the metropolitan areas, that's not how you get them. You get them by going into these other places. You get them by, look at that low-hanging fruit. 67% Edgecombe County, 66% Halifax County, 67% Pitt County, 71% Wilson County. They performed under the statewide. Only in our area, only Nash County performed above statewide turnout. Wake County, 76%. Johnson County, 76%. So, y'all, this is James Gailliard. You are watching the James Gailliard Show. And this is Choice 92.1 FM. So glad they're allowing me this platform to engage with all of you. More registered Democrats did not vote for VP Harris because of sexism. You know, I can't negate that. You know, but then Rachel Hunt, you know, did okay. You know, and so I do think we have some messaging problems. I say we in the Democratic Party because I'm a registered Democrat. I do think we have a messaging problem, and I could talk a little bit about that by the end of the show. A lot of voters didn't vote either way because they didn't care for either candidate. I know, but then here we are stuck with policies of the inferior candidate. You know, part of the reason people are asking me, why you push so hard this time? The reason I pushed so hard this time is because I really believed in the resources that were available for rural Eastern North Carolina. I really believed we could have attracted resources at every federal agency, and we could have directed those resources at rural Eastern North Carolina, because I believed that competent people would have been put in place. My concern now, even if there is a level of discriminatory practices that say, hey, that's a Democratic area, we're not going to send them resources. That's entirely possible with this upcoming administration. Even if that were the case, I just think there's going to be a fundamental incompetency of people in our federal positions. And they're not going to know how to move things along. And I think it's going to bottleneck resources, and I think resources won't come to places that it's really needed. So the reason I was pushing so hard, because I was like, there's a window here, there's a door open. And this door open can really make a difference in the lives of people in Wilson and Rocky Mount and in Roanoke Rapids and in Goldsboro and in Greenville. And I was excited for that, which is why I was pushing so hard. This is all about public policy and who might be best to stand up in administration to help people's lives. Let me look at some of your comments real quick. I agree, a lot of voters didn't vote. Lack of understanding of a big picture mentality. Agree with that. Same question many of us had. Just seemed that people did not want a woman president at all. They blamed white women not voting for Hillary when she didn't win in 2016. A portion of people I talked to didn't seem to be taking Kamala being president seriously at all. So what do we do about that? I mean, let's look at North Carolina data. Let's look at the people who voted. And let's see if we can connect some dots, okay? We're just doing this together. Let's talk gender. Of the people that voted, 41% of men voted Democrat, but 58% of men voted Republican. So to your point, you had only 41% of men, Democratic men, said, okay, I'm good with Kamala. 58% of Republican men were like, no, we can't rock with the woman. And 55% of women voted for Kamala Harris, and 44% for Donald Trump. Let's see what else we have. Black men, 8% of the electorate. We voted 78% for Kamala, 21% for Trump. White women, 36% of the electorate voted 42%. So this is a great stat. 36% of the vote were white women. And of that 36% that voted, 57% of them voted Republican. I think this literally was, and this is going to be one of them hard statements, but like white women went into the polls. Let me be very clear. This is an area where I was wrong. Like I thought white women were going to go into the polls, and without their husbands being present, their significant others, I really thought they were going to vote for Kamala Harris. I just believed that. I was so wrong. And so one of the biggest, and so here's my issue, y'all. Do y'all remember? And again, I hope y'all hear my heart on this. I really am just trying to share. I'm thinking out loud is what I'm doing. I'm not here to criticize. I can't imagine how difficult it would be to run for president of the United States. This is really difficult. So I'm not here to criticize that, and I'm certainly not here as if I have all the better answers, because that certainly knows I do not. But this becomes one of my struggles, one of my issues. One of my struggles and one of my issues is that the vice president spent a lot of time with like people like a Liz Cheney, right? Or referencing Dick Cheney. She actually did a tour with Liz Cheney. Here's the problem. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump like 93, I think the number is 93% of the time. And I think sometimes we can become so torn with picking up new supporters that we abandon the tried and true supporter that we have. And I think that was a mistake. Like, I think she should have, and I think we totally abandoned the far left. Now, mind you, they have their own set of issues. But, like, I didn't see her touring with Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. I didn't see any of that. It may have happened. But I think that we fundamentally lost a base. Like, I remember fighting with them, not physically fighting, but I remember being on national calls like, look, y'all, we got to put surrogates, we got to put these national level surrogates in these smaller churches. It's fine that, they sent, Bill Clinton to me, and it's fine that I have them, but we need people in those churches with 100 people, 75 people. Like, we need for everybody to feel seen and felt and heard. I do think that we have a tendency to come across as a party of the elite, and I think that hurt us. The party of Taylor Swift and Beyonce and whoever the movers and shakers are that are aligning, and I get the influence, but I think the average person, they just think about, I'll ask you, you're my audience, would Beyonce's endorsement of Kamala or Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala, would that have been enough if you were on the bubble and you were just not going to vote, or you weren't going to vote for Donald Trump? Would their endorsement of her, would Oprah's endorsement of her made you vote differently? That's my question. God, I wish I had a poll question. That would be my poll question. And so I would say probably not. I think that person who decided not to vote, they could care less what Oprah thinks. And I think we have lost touch with common people. I'm a pastor, and I'm so grateful to God for it. I'm grateful for my congregation that I get to lead. I'm a believer in representation matters. And this is probably more information than some of you are going to want me to share, but I just want to share my heart with you about this. And so I try to be really deliberate and intentional about who we platform, because I want everyone sitting out there feeling like they can see themselves. So I want to put, people of different, of both genders, I want to put them up. Because I want men to be able to see men, and I want women to be able to see women. For, my members with nose rings and, tongue piercings and multiple piercings, like, I want them platformed, because there's going to be people that look like them, and I want them to be able to see themselves. I want somebody 75, 80 years old to see themselves, and I want somebody 15 to see themselves. And because representation matters, and I think sometimes people don't see themselves in the Democratic Party. They don't see listen, real talk, y'all, and I'm really going to get myself in trouble, but hey, there's been a lot of discussion about immigrants who voted, particularly the Latino community, for Trump. And I feel this way about rural black people. Look, man, folk, they want to be able to afford some eggs. They trying to, get a halfway decent house where the floor is not falling in. They trying to keep a job, and they're trying to earn money so they can keep doing decent things for their family. And this is just real talk to me. That average group, they just don't care who you're sleeping with. They don't want to talk about it. They don't care nothing about it. I heard one group call it the alphabet group. They're like, look, I'm just trying to keep my construction job. I don't really care about the alphabet group. They're talking about the LGBTQ+. And this is the piece that I think people miss. Rural black people, they're not going to discriminate against LGBTQ+ community. They're not. But right or wrong, they never spent any time and any commercials addressing the truth of it. When you got people in Halifax County who don't even have indoor plumbing, when you got people with, barely making it, and then you're hearing, or somebody that dies of some disease that was preventable because they didn't have access or affordability of health care, when that is their lived reality, They ain't really trying to hear that the government in California paid for just a sex change operation for some inmate. They ain't trying to hear that. You know, and so I think we wound up running on issues that people were just kind of like, y'all don't get me at all. And I think that was a problem. And so I do wish that we had those things that were more what they call kitchen table issues have been discussed more. I do think the plight of public education should have actually been, especially in North Carolina, because when you had a race like a Mo Green and a Michelle Morrow, and granted, I mean, she still got 49% of the vote. It's just craziness to me. But I think that had we connected issues that people care about, I think maybe there would have been a little bit of a different outcome. I do think that the black vote has been taken for granted in North Carolina and in the Democratic Party. And so let me see what some of you are saying. Just seeing that people did not want a woman. Yep, we talked a little bit about that. Once thing, the injustice masterful at a strategy. Yeah. Folks were only concerned that Trump gave out those stimulus checks, not knowing the money really came from the Senate. Yeah, I mean, you know, and again, you know, one of the things that we're going to do on this show and on an ongoing basis is just keep the conversation going. Keep having conversations that really matter. I mean, because think about it. The average person is, think of it like this, y'all. I think the average voter does not have political issues center of vision. I think that, look at the vision. I think the average voter does not have the average voting issue center of vision. I think it's on the peripheral somewhere. And I think it's not the stuff they really are focused on. So a lot of times when I'm talking about, you know, some of the things that I'm talking political, people who don't vote, they just see it as theater. They just see it as performance. And it's just kind of like, whatever, I'm just not even engaging in that. And so we have to begin asking ourselves, like, what are the things that form people's impressions? What are the things that drive people's decisions? You know, like I touched on this earlier a few minutes ago, but like you got to figure out who your base is and you got to stick to them. And it's great to be able to grow them, but I just want to stick to my people. I mean, one of the keys to our success at Word Tabernacle is that we reach who we reach. Like we know I'm not so gifted and we're not so anointed that we're going to reach every human being for Jesus and they're going to come to Word Tabernacle. That's not going to happen. So we stick to our base. We do the stuff that we do. We try to do it as well as we can do it so that those people that are with us stay with us. And we can't abandon that. And I do think that that's been one of the huge mistakes that we've made. So asking ourselves like, hey, what forms people's impressions about things? And so I think that people are responding to the reality of their world around them. They're responding to like, what is my lived reality? And I think when you start looking at that, I mean, you know, I'm far from wealthy, but I, you know, I can afford to go shopping, right? And food shopping. And I'm grateful for that. And I don't, you know, I can just generally buy whatever I want, right? But when a person like myself who can do that starts looking at the cost of something, be like, you know, wait a minute, that sure is a whole lot more than it was 6 months ago. And then, you know, like I'm bougie when it comes to brand name stuff. Like I need Hellman's mayo. I don't want no like Walmart mayo. You know, I want like the brand name stuff, ketchup, hot sauce, mayonnaise, like that kind of stuff. I want my brand name stuff. It was getting so bad at one point, I was like, you know what? I might have to get the store brand mayonnaise. I might have to get the store brand hot sauce because this is crazy. So I think one of the mistakes we make is, you know, we don't speak truthfully to what people are feeling. Instead, we try to change their mind that it's not like what they're feeling. I don't think that's a smart strategy. And so I do think there was a lot of emphasis around, the economy is great, the stock market is doing good, you know, this happened, we added this number of jobs, we've done this, we've done that. But let me just give you an example. Why nobody's talking about increasing the minimum wage federally? Like you got people that you have a lot of people who don't make a lot of money. who's advocating for them? And I think that could have maybe been an opportunity that maybe we missed. And so those of you just tuning in, this is James Gailliard, and you are watching the James Gailliard, listening to the James Gailliard Show right here on Choice 92.1 FM. I'm with you every Monday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We have been dissecting some of the numbers, and I have confessed that they don't make sense to me. I have confessed that when I look at statewide, and then when I start breaking it down by Nash, Wake, Wilson counties, I just did those quick examples. I'm scratching my head trying to figure out how can all of these things be true at the same time. It just does not make logical sense to me. And I'm struggling, y'all. And so that's what today's show was about. While we unpack these numbers, we're going to talk a little bit about who else voted on the exit polls. I'm coming up right on my final commercial break. And so I'm going to pay a quick bill, take a commercial. I'm going to look at your comments, and then we'll come back and finish today's show. Pass this on, share it with somebody. I'll be right back.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Choice FM family, you already know it's the DOC right here with our favorite family member back again, going ahead and bestowing some goodness to the people that need to get behind the wheel of a new or used car. She goes by the name of Cousin Kira. How we doing?
We're doing awesome today.
I love to hear it, love to see it, and I love everything that you do once again. Could you tell the people what's going on when it comes to credit unions, why they need to come to you to get in their new or used automobile?
Because there's predators out there. There's people out there that will absolutely take your check and you're smiling, and then about 2-3 weeks when your car does not start, neither does their phone work.
Oh, hello.
So I want people to at least call so that we can do the best we can to save as much money as we can. Just because they gave you all the money doesn't mean you need to waste it on things that don't really benefit you. So again, when you're buying a car, it's a huge commitment and you still have to pay that loan back to the credit union. So why not get what you want versus getting something that they kind of stuff and send you through the ringer and say, here's, like, they're doing you a favor. You're in control when you have a credit union check, so let's use it wisely.
Come on now. I love to hear it. Now, Cousin Kira, how can the people go ahead and take advantage of this? The number, the website.
They call 919-275-5372. That's Ask Kira. And then the website is askcousinkira.com. And they can literally go on there and make an appointment anytime they need to. And we can talk. You don't have to sit in a dealership for 2-3 hours just to be told no. We can actually work this out and save you some time.
Amen. Choice FM, you better listen and act accordingly. Ask Cousin Kira whenever you need to get behind the wheel of a new or used automobile. It's only one person that we trust, and that's Cousin Kira.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
Hey, family, we are back. I'm just reading some of your comments. Mayor Bobby Jones, thank you, sir. He says transportation was not an issue in Edgecombe. We offered, and no one took advantage. And I believe our problem is apathy. And so what say y'all? Is the problem apathy? I would agree with that comment from Bobby Darnell Jones. Good to have you on the show. We talked about the Halifax County turnout being at 66%, Edgecombe being 1 percentage point above it at 67%, and Pitt County, no better. You got a whole university system there and a medical school, only 67%. So there's some issues there. And we need to figure out what it is. What's going to motivate people to vote? Let me look at some of your other comments. The innovation of criminals is profound. We all know this. But until the masses understand delayed gratification and strategic change, it will be an uphill battle. I agree, Natasha. How do we educate people? All the work was necessary. Yeah, we're going to continue this work year-round. We will propose in our 2025 budget at the church a civic engagement budget. I am working on a grant to get more churches onboarded with this process. I'm working with several foundations. Leslie Hudgens said, yes, I think that's if you were on the fence and some major person said they were going to endorse a candidate, would that change your vote? She said yes. Nisi said no. Natasha says not to a working regular person. Quita Bird, no. Leslie Hudgens, oh, no. Now it's a no. So I must ask two questions. I'm sorry. Not really, no, truth. So I think this becomes like, if we're not careful, and let me share a couple exit polls real quick. And just so you know, exit polls, when you hear the term exit poll, and I'm not an expert on this stuff, okay? Some of you are on that do this stuff all the time. I'm not one of those people. But an exit poll is not the result of the election. The exit poll helps us understand the thinking and the motive of the voter, right? So the exit poll helps us better understand who is the makeup of the people voting. Helps us understand what is the motivation for those people to vote, okay? So that's what we mean by exit numbers. And so who else do we have here? I'm going to talk about the exit polls in a minute. I definitely started public seas. And so that's true. We cannot pretend people issues are not real issues. I saw a comment saying votes, rural communities have always mattered. And I agree. I mean, we have got to turn out the vote in our rural communities. And I saw that comment as well. And so, listen, I appreciate all of you jumping on in, tuning in. Somebody says, yes, apathy runs deep, as does racism. I'll be brave and say my stance, not foul play. They just know how to manipulate the regular person. So we have to learn how to nurture the regular person. That's true. We cannot pretend people's issues are not their issues. It's something that I learned a long time ago, Sam, that we've got to honor people's experiences. We have to honor people's stories. And I think if anything, we can do a better job of telling people stories. Annette Richardson says rural communities are the key in all elections. Y'all heard it from the listeners of the James Gailliard Show. And so let's just talk a little bit about some of the exits. I just saw, like, for example, education popped up on one of the categories that was being discussed. The large number, here we go. This question, this is an exit poll on education. Which best describes your education that you have? 40% of the Democrats said they never attended college, but 60% of Republican voters said they never attended college. Attend college but did not receive a degree. Over half of the Republicans voting said that's my category, compared to only 48%. And so one of the things that we saw was this theme that better educated. Now, obviously, this is not across the board, but we saw this theme that better educated people tend to vote Democrat. 62% of everybody on the exit poll had an advanced degree that were Democrat, compared to 37% that were Republican. So, I thought this was interesting. What do you think is the role of education as it relates to politics? Is it that you think people that are better educated tend to research the issues more? Do you think that they are less gullible? And I'm not assuming anything, like I'm trying to piece it all together. And what is it that you think we can do moving forward? So now that we are post-election, yes, you asked two questions. The first was a confirmation of what you were saying, while the second was no. Thank you so much for that. So no, how do we move forward? I'm going to talk in future shows about some of the things that maybe could have happened different. What I want to encourage all of us is that we want to normalize conversations around civic engagement. We want to normalize conversations around elections. We want to normalize conversations. We want to move us to a place as a community where not voting is abnormal, where not having conversations on public policy is abnormal. And so we're going to be conducting town halls on an ongoing basis, engaging people, really hearing the things that matter to people. And so I want to shout out everyone that ran for office. I haven't talked about our local candidates, many of whom didn't have a good night last Tuesday night. And we were able to, as Democrats, to break the supermajority, but we're going to have to hold that really tight and hold everyone that's in elected office accountable for how they're going to vote and whether or not they'll be able to uphold Governor Stein's veto authority. So we're going to be holding people accountable, and you're going to hear me talking about votes that come up and how people are voting in our local races, okay? And so I want to help us normalize it. I want to thank you for your engagement today. Y'all were a lot of fun. I can't wait to the final build out of my studio so I can bring some people on. We can talk about these issues together. And so I'm never out of content, but I'm always out of clock, and I'm never out of talk, but I'm always out of time. And so I'm going to end today's show with just a thank you. And again, I want to land where I took off, and that is simply saying Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there. Thank you very much for tuning in today. My prayer is that God will release his choice and assorted blessings upon your life. Let's get active in our communities. Let's make a difference. Let's go ahead and beat back that demon of apathy so that everyone can thrive. This is James Gailliard. You've been watching, listening to James Gailliard Show right here on Choice 92.1 FM. I'll see you next Monday.
The James Gailliard Show on Choice FM.
This is
WRSV Elm City.